Good afternoon. I'm Hayden Balgavy here with meteorologist Nathan Scott. We want to kick things over this afternoon with a warning to be weather aware this week. It is why we have issued a weather impact alert. Nathan, I know even 3-4 days out from this severe weather threat could be a very busy week for us here in Arkansas.
Good afternoon, Hayden. Yeah, it's going to be beautiful out there today and tomorrow, but things could get a little bit on the spicy side as early as Wednesday. We do have a marginal risk, or a 1 out of 5 risk of severe storms, primarily for locations in southwest Arkansas. Friday, though, that's when we'll have more ingredients for the potential of maybe widespread strong to severe thunderstorms, and that does include the potential of tornadoes. We're going to have more storm fuel in place versus the other events that didn't really unfold as planned, but fortunately, we didn't see the storm fuel in place. That could be different going into Friday afternoon and Friday evening. We already have a 3 out of 5 risk in the orange area. That does include Little Rock and off to the northeast and east. This map will change over the next several days, so be sure that you are staying updated and staying informed as we will continue to provide you with updates on this changing weather situation going throughout the rest of the week. Out there right now, it is beautiful. We've got lots of sunshine. Temperatures are warming up in a hurry. Upper 50s to lower 60s already. 64 in Clinton, 64 in Camden. Highs today topping out into the low to mid 70s. And then tomorrow, look at this. Temperatures could climb up into the 80s for many areas. But once again, this type of warmth with moisture arriving from the Gulf and a system moving in from the west, that sets up the stage for the potential of some ugly weather going into the latter parts of the work week. I'll have more details on that potential coming up.
All right, Nathan, thank you. We want to get you started with a warning from police and U.S. Marshals that is still in place this afternoon. Right now, they are looking for 3 men they say are violent. The first is the man on your screen, Yusuf Mohammed. He is wanted on gun and drug charges. Marshals tell us he has, quote, violent tendencies and should be considered armed and dangerous. They are also asking for help finding this man, Gary Powell Jr. He is facing several charges, including rape, sexual assault, and fleeing police. Marshals are warning that Powell is also known to have violent tendencies. And finally, both Faulkner County and Monticello, the town, are searching for Von Shadrick Kinney Jr. They tell us he is a convicted violent offender wanted for aggravated assault. Again, if you see or know anything about any of these 3 men, do not approach them. Simply call police. Lawmakers are gearing up for another busy week at the state capitol that kicked off this morning with a special order of business in an education committee. This is video from that joint meeting where state senators and representatives discussed the Arkansas Access Act. The plan is aimed at giving college students stronger career paths and grow the state's economy. Capitol reporter Rebecca Brown was at the meeting and will have more tonight at 5 and 6. Meanwhile, several high-profile bills are up for debate at the Capitol this week. One proposal would require more reporting on fertility treatments, including IVF and embryo transfers. Lawmakers will also consider expanding religious non-discrimination laws, protecting organizations and individuals who decline services based on religious beliefs. Another bill would let voters decide whether to keep fluoride in public water systems, and a measure would fine parents if their children bring tobacco or e-cigarettes to school. All 4 bills are on House and Senate committee agendas for tomorrow. Lawmakers are also in the process of bringing relief to those tasked with caring for a loved one. It's a job that comes with a cost in more ways than one. This afternoon, Darren Bobb introduces us the Caring for Caregivers Act and how it could help.
We benefit as a society from this unpaid labor that caregivers do because it keeps costs down, keeps family members out of the hospital, keeps family members from having to go into an assisted living or nursing facility.
State Rep Ashley Hudson's bill would offer tax credits to those who care for loved ones at home.
The tax credit is between $2,000 and $3,000, depending on whether or not the individual is caring for an elderly relative or a relative with dementia or veteran.
It's the caregiver for the family member with dementia that caught the attention of David Cook with the Arkansas Alzheimer's Association.
In 2023, 155,000 caregivers in Arkansas, mostly are unpaid, who provided over 270 million hours of unpaid care. And the value of that care is $4.48 billion in cost savings to the state.
In order for the caregiver to get the credit, they have to meet certain guidelines like making less than $50,000 a year. State would also require proof of expenditures, including making improvements to a home to allow the family member to live there and the purchase of medical equipment for that family member. Cook says it's simply the right thing to do.
If we invest in these services early, we can delay placement in long-term care. And we can support family caregivers so they can continue to do the important work they're doing by, again, saving taxpayer dollars by not placing loved ones and driving a Medicaid cost.
Caregivers are contributing quite a bit to our economy here in Arkansas, but more importantly to our society and our family structure. I want to make sure with this bill that we're doing anything we can to try to support them as well.
They have space like this. You know, they have times when things happen a little bit more often than normal, and then it goes back and you go many years without having a problem.
That is President Donald Trump reacting to the news of the small plane that crashed in Pennsylvania less than 24 hours ago. This is video of the fiery aftermath that happened Sunday afternoon just feet from a retirement community. The 5 people on the plane were hurt, but no one died. Now today, we are learning more about what led to the incident. According to preliminary flight data, the pilot can be heard telling the air traffic controller that his plane had an open door and was returning to the airport. Less than a minute later, the controller tells the pilot to pull up right before it crashes. The crash is now under investigation. Top U.S. negotiators are set to meet with Ukrainian leaders this week in hopes of kickstarting ceasefire talks. That meeting, which will include Secretary of State Marco Rubio, is scheduled for tomorrow in Saudi Arabia. Comes as Russia increases airstrikes on Ukraine and less than 2 weeks after the explosive White House meeting between President Volodymyr Zelensky and President Trump. Well, new at noon, U.S. stocks fell sharply this morning, continuing a trend that started last week. It comes after President Trump did not rule out a potential recession during an interview over the weekend. And as Natalie Brand tells us, this is all playing out as Congress works to pass a budget by the end of the week to avert a potential government shutdown.
With China's retaliatory tariffs taking effect today, President Trump tried to downplay concerns of a trade war.
We're going to take in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs, and we're going to become so rich, you're not going to know where to spend all that money.
But this morning, Wall Street reacted to the uncertainty and to the president's comments during an interview with Fox Business.
Are you expecting a recession this year?
I hate to predict things like that. There is a period of transition because what we're doing is very big. We're bringing wealth back to America.
In response to additional tariffs the U.S. is putting on China, Beijing is punching back with 15% retaliatory tariffs on chicken, wheat, corn, and cotton, and 10% tariffs on meat, dairy, and soybeans starting today.
The worst thing right now is the uncertainty of it. Putting on tariffs between integrated economies raises the cost for consumers and or producers, and the economy as a whole loses.
The tariff tensions come on top of a budget showdown here in Washington as Congress barrels toward a Friday deadline to avert a government shutdown. House Republicans released a stopgap plan over the weekend, which would increase defense spending while decreasing spending on domestic programs. It also adds funds for immigration enforcement and veterans health care. It does not have support from House Democrats.
Right now, Mano, there's been no outreach on a bipartisan basis.
The House could pass the measure on party lines as early as Tuesday, but it faces an uncertain path in the Senate where some Democratic support would be needed. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Also just ahead, get ready. Those high egg prices that we're seeing are not going away anytime soon. What U.S. officials are now doing to fight the price jumps still ahead.
Spring officially starts next week, March 20th, but we're certainly getting a preview here. Over the next 7 days, the temperatures will be well above average. However, it's not all good news because that warm and humid air, that sets up for the potential of some ugly storms on Friday. You know that TV 11 weather impact alert already in effect for Friday. I'll have more on that chance coming up.
And don't forget, new local shows are coming up right after this newscast, streaming on THV11 Plus. Here's a look at what you'll see over the next couple of hours. Remember, you can download THV11 Plus on your TV and you can watch for free. We're back after this.